was a curious case earlier this week in the Westmoreland Parish Court where a Sacramental ganja grower had charges against him thrown out by the court after his lawyer explained that, look, as a Rastafarian, he is entitled to grow the weed for sacramental purposes. Ras Jermaine Jackson was facing significant fines, or maybe worse if the case had gone through. But when the lawyer explained what the purpose of the ganja that was found at his house, 76 pounds, and equipment relating to ganja cultivation and maybe processing were found, it looked as if it would have ended in a bleak result for Ras Jermaine Jackson. But his attorney, Dr. Marcus Goff, told the court the right things and he walked a free man. But he still is shaken by the experience. We speak to both Ras Jermaine Jackson and Dr. Marcus Goff on Lead Story on this difference. It's a program on this day. It's a program with a difference away from the usual political fare, because this is a very important thing, especially where members of the Rastafarian community are concerned and their use of marijuana as their herbal sacrament. Welcome to Lead Story on this Thursday. It was an eye-catching story, you know. Rastafarian, whose home was searched by the police, both himself and his common-law wife were carted off to jail because the police found close to 80 pounds of marijuana there. They found a dehumidifier, they found a humidifier, they found equipment, a beam balance scale, and other things they said were associated with the processing of marijuana. And they said, well, he would have a case to answer in court. The gentleman, Ras Jermaine Jackson, shaken as you would expect, because he felt as if the court would have dealt him a damaging fate. Well, he was in luck because his lawyer, who knows these things very well, was able to assure the court that, listen, he was using the marijuana and cultivating it for sacramental purposes. In case you missed the story, you want some of the details filled in before we go into the discussion, we have this for you.
While many smoke for pleasure or just pastime, Rastafarians use marijuana for religious purposes, saying this holy herb gives them a meditative and a closer connection to the divine. It's why attorney at law for Rastafarian Grassroots Ganja Association, RAGA, Marcus Goff, is lamenting over what he calls injustice from the police force over their sacramental practice.
Unfortunately, we're still here for hours after court finish this morning. The case was thrown out because, of course, the Rastafari community came out in numbers to show that the brethren and sisters who were charged were merely possessing the herbs in a context of Rastafari sacramental rites. But we're still here waiting because the police apparently has to come personally. The one who didn't even bother to show up in court this morning. We're here waiting on him now to get the herb released. And so we still have our sacrament under lock and key behind jail cell with police for rights. Totally unacceptable.
This is Ras Balki, who was recently freed of charges when his case was thrown out at the Savlamar Parish Court. He was remanded on May 27 of this year for allegedly being in illegal possession of 76 pounds of marijuana.
So what happened is I was being bombarded by more than 20 police at my yard. Them said them looking for gun, so I left them to do their routine. Upon their routine, they find my sacrament. I'd make it clear that this was my sacrament. Them say I must go to the court and tell the judge. So them lock me up, incarcerate the herb, incarcerate all the equipment.
Co-founder for RAGA, Kamau Janaya, says there has been a breakdown between their community and the security forces.
So now we are calling for an urgent meeting with the Commissioner of Police, Mr. Kevin Blake, because the former Commissioner of Police, Mr. Anderson, had good dialogue with us, we could go to him and speak to him directly, but we felt that there has been like a breakdown in communication.
Ganja advocate Ras Ayavi says he has been advocating against unfair treatment towards Rastafarians since 1987 and is calling on the government to curb what he calls harassment.
This is a waste of time for I and I as Rastafarian. We are calling on not just the Minister of Justice or the Minister of National Security, but the government on a whole, because this has been going on too long. It's over 10 years since the amendment was made in 2015. Why did that I and I as Rastafari continue to be experiencing harassment from the security forces? It's time for all of these things to stop. We don't want the time come that we have to take the streets and lock down Jamaica, because if that time come, we will do it.
Adrian Williams reporting for CVM News.
Significant victory for Rastafari. Much more after these. I'll have the pleasure of speaking to Ras Balki, Ras Jermaine Jackson, and his attorney, Dr. Marcus Goff.
Are you ready for something mega? Mega Mart's giving away a brand new 2025 Hyundai Tucson. Second prize, a mega shopping spree. Third prize, 30,000 monthly shopping spree. Okay, break it down for them.
Spend $6,500 or more before GCT. Fill out the entry form on your receipt. Drop it in the box. That's it.
Get ready for the largest beauty and wellness business event in Jamaica and the Caribbean. The Jamaica International Beauty Expo is on this year from Friday, June 27 to Sunday, June 29 at the National Arena in Kingston. Showcase your brand, connect with top industry players, explore the latest trends and grow your business with expert workshops and networking opportunities. Don't miss this dazzling experience. Beauty, wellness, business, innovation. Visit beautyexpojam.com for more info.
So this very fascinating case concerning this Rastaman, Ras Jermaine Jackson, Ras Balki, a sacramental grower of marijuana, uses marijuana, of course, found by the police with marijuana in the confines of his own home. And he was charged, hit with several charges, and had to go to the Westmoreland Parish Court to answer those charges. He brought along with him Dr. Marcus Goff, and Dr. Goff's skill, knowledge of the law, and of course his delivery, his conversation in the court were what helped Ras Jermaine Jackson to walk out a free man. But as I noted, he says he's still shaken by the ordeal. I have Ras Jermaine Jackson, Ras Balki, online with me. He's on the phone, and Dr. Marcus Goff is here in the studio with me. Gentlemen, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Ras Balki, you hearing me?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, man. You're speaking to a national TV audience now, Ras Balki. I just want you to, for the benefit of them, recount what happened to you and when it happened to you.
All right, so this was on May 27, 2025, about 8:30 a.m. in the morning. Just got a shower and come out my bathroom. I noticed on my camera I see movement, so I went to the door and looked. So from one of them see me, them call me. So me have my shorts in my hand, so I went outside. So when I went outside now, the girl followed behind also, so we both went out. As the way how they approach me from I come out in my underpants with my shorts in my hand, it's like me under arrest already. Because them start to talk to me and deal with me in a farm like them find something. So upon my approach to them, he must say me must pull the gate. So I keep asking him for a warrant. Several times me ask him for a warrant. All he does is pull the gate. Pull the gate. If they don't pull the gate, we have to jump over the fence. They asked about 7 times for a warrant. I know them not present me a warrant. The last time when him said, him a go jump, them a go jump the fence. That is when my girl, because she have one of the room like this. It's a fence, yeah. So anything in the property, I'm going to account for it. I just want to see the legal documentation, what I think I'm supposed to be presented to come on my property. I wasn't given that chance for the foremost. From the minute that them say, go and let's come and look for. He said, no problem. We escort them. As we went into the house, when we go through the door, them said me to watch them. I said, I can't watch 20 police one time. So anything you don't want to do, you just have to go do it because we can't watch 20 police at once. All of them enter at the same time. Anyway, 5 of them take me to my room, which is the front room. The next rest come go in the room with the girl, which will be my girl. So you still have police in the living room when unaccounted for so you know. Because the amount coming in my room. And a 15 in the back room with the girl. So you have a police I want to run with no accountability. So all I can say is God is on my side because them have the chance to do whatever they want. Because if you're saying I'm supposed to watch it, you don't need more than the amount that we can supervise in the house. You understand?
Understand you clearly.
So that is the first. So them breach by not showing me a warrant, which I just wanted to see a warrant, because you're going to get to come on the property. I'm not so stupid for you to present me a warrant and I tell you that I'm not going to pull my gate. So I don't see the reason why them couldn't present me the warrant in a peaceful way, because I'm not a criminal yet, because when you come on the property, come find nothing. So why would you start dealing with me like a criminal up and outside of entry? That is my biggest puzzle about the whole operation, you know. Present the warrant to me and let we do the process the way how it is supposed to do. So them take away all of my rights from right. So there is where I get so timid now where me can't get a chance. So the way them have me, if me even try put on the pants without telling them, I might get a shot.
Oh.
That everybody have me on gunfight. No, me I be honest.
Yes.
Because me come out with me shots, so if me try put on my shots and them not please, them can't say me pull a gun. And me do something which me just have to work with the protocols because they have me as a criminal up and trying to enter my property.
Yes.
I'm not pleased with that, boss.
So,
that is my biggest
so when they searched, they found no gun?
No gun. So listen now, the herbs is in a room, sealed by itself, you know.
Yes.
So, them search the whole house and said that room them want go in night. Me said the room is for sacramental purpose. Herbs in the room for me and my Rasta friends them. Up on that now, them say them are going to kick off the door. No, them say them are going to kick off the door first. Then me start declare what is in the room. Because me say me not going to make you kick off the door. Correction, sorry about that. So I start looking for the keys. to try to get me pull the door. From me pull the door, me still I tell them say the herbs is for sacramental purpose. Boss, you have to go to court but tell the judge that. So they still now get a chance to declare no form of paperwork or nothing. They have to just go to the court and declare whatever me I tell them. Them no I hear nothing.
Rasbalki, did you protest when they told you that both yourself and your lady were under arrest?
Protest? No.
You just go in there, you just work with the program?
Yeah. Because me not see myself as doing nothing wrong. So if I some herbs, them say them are going to lock me up for, me tell them I'm ready.
I hear you. Hold it right there. I'm going to take a break and come right back. This is Lead Story. Rasbalki, Jermaine Jackson, telling his story of how the police raided his premises say they were looking for a gun. He says they presented him with no warrant, made him feel like a criminal from the outset. They searched his home, they found herbs, they found marijuana, and they said, well, you're going to have to explain to a judge why you have this marijuana. After the break, we'll hear from his attorney, Dr. Marcus Goff.
These days, challenges are everywhere and things are constantly changing, but independent living remains the same. Rising above physical challenges, we can help you do it. For years, we have been Jamaica's trusted provider for solutions to improve patient care, safety, and general quality of life. No matter your age or your physical limitation, we are the caring store, waiting to serve you. It's time to experience independent living. Visit us today.
Get ready for a powerful night of worship. Jesus All the Way, a fundraising worship encounter presented by the Jamaica Seventh-day Baptist Conference of Churches on Sunday, June 29, Randy Williams Entertainment Center, featuring Kevin Downswell, Rhoda Isabella, Alicia Taylor, Kevin Heath, Nadine Blair, and Perpetual Sounds of Praise. Gates open at 4 p.m. Showtime 6 p.m. Tickets available at sproopen.com. Jesus All the Way, a worship encounter with a purpose. Sunday, June 29, Randy Williams Entertainment Center, powered by Stuart Soto, Love FM, Mellow FM, Gospel JA, and CVM TV.
Ras Balki, Jermaine Jackson, went to the Westmoreland Parish Court to answer to possession of marijuana, and he walked out a free man, the court agreeing that there was no necessity to proceed with the case. The most troubling aspect of what Ras Balki said before the break was that when he says approximately 20 policemen came to his house where he and his lady were, he says he came out in his underpants to answer the door, to open and to let them in. He says he had his pair of shorts in his hand and he was afraid to even put on his own shorts. Dr. Marcus Goff, you defended him in court. What did you tell the court?
Yes, thanks for having me. And thanks for having Ras Balki too, to share his story. So in the court, you know, well, as it so happened, this was the second time I was appearing before the same judge and the same tag of court on a similar matter involving a Rastaman and his girlfriend charged for ganja within the space of, I think, the last 8 weeks, you know. And so I started out by saying, you know, Judge, here we are again, Judge. You know, a Rastaman and his girlfriend charged for what is ought to be recognized by the law as his sacramental ganja, you know. And I was saying that, you know, here again you have a situation where the police have done no investigation. They have not bothered to inquire. You know, the judge asked me, well, did he show them any papers? And so I explained, as Ras Balki told me, that they said, show it to the judge, tell the judge. You know, which is a common thing we hear persons say, that the police are essentially saying, that's not for me to determine or deal with, you do that down there. But what that does to the persons who are presumed innocent and proven guilty is places them, you know, in a situation of vulnerability of being arrested, right? As he was handcuffed.
Embarrassed,
right? And I say he's still recovering from the shock and just the stress of the whole situation, you know, only tend to have the case thrown out on the first court date because the paperwork is all there to show, you know? And so we're simply saying that the police could and should do what they're trained to do, investigate as it relates to persons who you may feel are not genuinely Rastafari, then you may have a grounds to pursue a case against them. But if you don't have any such basis, and you see someone who identifies as Rastafari, then we say you are not to then go forward to prosecute without any further evidence to the contrary.
Straighten this out for me, because many people say, but George, let me understand this. And I'm thinking of what my viewers will be saying. So since I have you, I have to ask you this. So they say that they know that a spliff is perfectly fine. Whomever has a spliff, not a problem. But they will be saying, so how comes Ras Balki has 76 pounds of the weed at home and other things, humidifier, dehumidifier, and the judge said, well, there's no case to answer. Explain that part for me.
Right. So first thing we want to be clear on, right, is that the Dangerous Drugs Amendment Act of 2015 set up, as we know, a 2-ounce limit, right? And so under 2 ounces, a non-arrestable offense. It's still a crime, which it should not be, in my opinion, but it's a non-arrestable offense. And then over 2 ounces now, you can be still charged and prosecuted for the herb. However, Section 7C of the Act has an exception expressly in the law for Rastafari who possess ganja for religious purposes, right? And so what we often find in the streets is that the police are attaching a 2-ounce limit to Rastafari ganja rights when the law has no such 2-ounce limit.
That's the key shot, right?
Yes. And so once you over the 2 ounce, they feel that they are empowered and authorized to abuse our rights, which the law does not give them the power to do whatsoever.
So are you also saying, correct me if I'm wrong, that if the police, as they did, went to Ras Balki's house and saw the marijuana there, Ras Balki says, listen, that is for sacrament, that is for me and my friends to enjoy when we are in our space and relaxing. It is not his responsibility to prove that it is his sacrament. It's for the police to prove that it is not for that purpose.
That is so, sir. That is so, sir. And we call that, in law, the burden of proof. Yes, and that is how the rights of the persons who are presumed innocent can and must be maintained. Otherwise, we'll all be hauled before the court, have to prove to our judge that we are Rastafari, which cannot be the intent of the law.
Yeah, I saw the frustration. You could hear it in his voice, see it in his face. Ras Ayavi at the end of the clip we played earlier, saying, listen, we're tired of this now. The police know that these matters should not proceed to court, and he's asking for the intervention of the police commissioner. Refine what he's saying for us.
Right, well, straightforward, you know, Ras Ayavi, as our elders, you know, has been there going through this for so many decades. And here we are, 2025, 10 years is the passage of the Amendment Act. And we still see that the police, one, don't seem to be aware of the amendment and the full import of it for Rastafari rights.
Yes.
And secondly, there's been no clear policy communicated, it seems, to the police how to engage with the Rastafari community as it relates to the Dangerous Drugs Act.
Yes.
Right? And so what we're saying is that essentially the law has changed. The spirit and the intent of the law is to recognize Rastafari rights, but the machinery on the ground has not received that message and the clarity to be able to have them recognize and protect our rights instead of abusing it as they continue to do.
The commissioner uses his force orders to communicate to the men and women that he leads in terms of how they should operate in certain respects. Would you, Dr. Goff, be satisfied if Dr. Kevin Blake says to the men and women that, listen, where this matter is concerned, operate in this way? Is that what you're calling for as well?
Yes, we're thinking that, and we've heard from the police. You know, some police have said to us, frankly, they think the law is not so clear. It has some gray areas. We don't agree. We think it invites an open interpretation. But the fact is that if there is need for clarity, then we have asked, and in fact, the Minister of Justice in 2023, Mr. Tadaro Chuck, wrote to the former Commissioner of Police asking him to recognize the Rastafari community rights and to afford us the space to be able to exercise our rights freely while the ministry works through some other, administrative matters.
Yes.
But we have not seen any kind of action from the police. We'd love to see something in the force orders that says to the police what they must or must not do.
Yes.
So they must proceed, they must do certain investigation and have certain evidence before they are going to prosecute anybody who says, I am a Rasta man or Rasta woman.
So, based on the fact that you said you had been before the judge in Westmoreland for a similar thing, Rastaman and girlfriend, here you went again. So, on the basis of what has happened in Ras Balki's case, you think that some sort of precedent has been established now for how the judge and the court may deal with similar matters in the future, or it needs more?
I think it needs more because, frankly, each parish court operates within its own context, In this matter, it's not really the judge who dismissed the case.
The clerk of court.
Clerk withdrew the matter, and so it's still going to depend on, again, the clerk of court's interpretation and appreciation of the law. And so we're saying that 10 years on, we should not be vulnerable to these disparities of interpretation. We want clarity, we want legal protection of our rights.
And the legislation needs to be tidied up.
Most certainly.
All right. Ras Balki, I give you the last word, sir. I read your statements in the newspaper and I read your frustration. And hearing from you now, your frustration, your embarrassment, your fear have all come to the table. Have your nerves settled yet, Ras Balki? Have you gotten over it yet, or are you getting there? How it go?
Time will heal, boss. Time will heal.
Time will heal. And what's your message to the police this evening as you look at what could have happened to you, what you avoided? What's your message to members of the JCF?
The approach has to when their first approach has to be in a better order.
Deal with people with respect.
Yeah, the fact that you're coming to a resident, you must remember that what you're coming about, you must get that sort. You can't treat the people like a criminal before you even approach their resident. That is my message to the JCS.
Excellent, sir. Well, Ras Balki, thank you for speaking with us. Happy that everything has cleared up, and we hope that you won't have any encounter like this in the future, sir.
Thank you very much.
Excellent. Dr. Goff, always a pleasure, and continue your advocacy. And you need to, perhaps there was a good time to drop Dr. Blake a note. He's a very reasonable man. And of course, nudge the legislators. I asked Mr. Chuck again, say, we need your intervention because the legislation as it stands needs to be tidied up as we agreed.
Yes,
all right?
Yes,
Thank you very much.
Yes,
all the best to you. That's my time here on Lead Story on CVM TV. We felt this was a very important story, so we had to highlight it amid the fact that the political temperature rising in the country. Not in a bad way, thankfully, but things are heating up to the declaration of nomination day and election day. We'll get back to that at an appropriate time. This had to be done today, we believe. Good evening.
The future belongs to the bold, to those ready to realign with purpose and prosperity. Realign 2025 connects Africa and the Caribbean, where innovation meets investment. Featuring Senator the Honorable Audrey Marks, Nigerian Ambassador Janet Olisa, David Mullings, Anthony Hilton, and Christopher Denny. For SMEs, funding partnerships and global market entry. June 25 at the Jamaica